Cool. Uh, Hello.
Hi.
Um, so thanks for coming to talk to me.
hmm
Can I ask you, how familiar are you with Appalachia?
so it kind of goes depending on my mother or my father's side, how long we've been here. But I've been here my entire life. I was born and raised. I was actually born in Wheeling, and I'm from the northern panhandle, obviously that means. So my grandfather, is this for the family or just me?
You and then family. I'll ask later.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've been here my entire life. I was born in Wheeling and grew up in the northern panhandle.
Cool.
So pretty familiar. I've been all over the state really. So
Um, and then does your family like have a history? Yeah, like where that is.
so my mother's side hasn't well they've been here a while, but in terms of the United States maybe not so long. They my great grandfather or no, my great great grandfather was born in Italy and came over as a kid. And they been in the northern panhandle ever since really. My father's side um, has been here since before the Civil War, and they're spread out all over the United States really. They're in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, everywhere. But yeah, no, we're mainly from the north, I guess you'd say. So, but other than that, yeah, that's really the biggest extent that I know. Um, we haven't really looked back that much. My great great grandfather was pretty protective over that. He came over as a kid and spoke Italian, obviously, but wouldn't teach anyone else. He's like, "You're American now. You don't really need this," kind of deal. So, but yeah, no, we've been here for a long time. So,
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna ask you about your personal background. Um, can I ask you like what you do for work?
I'm a automotive mechanic, at the moment, anyways. Um, I was I was lucky enough to be in a high school that had a really strong vocational section, and so I have a lot of experience with automotive. I had technically 4 years of school before I even left high school for automotive tech. So I got hired at Ford right out of high school, and unfortunately, the the dealership I worked at wasn't really a good place, so I ended up leaving. But yeah, no, I've been a mechanic ever since I graduated from high school, which was 2018. So,
Cool. That's exactly what my dad does.
oh, okay.
Um, okay. Your family, is there any like military experience in your family?
Not immediate family. Well, yeah, immediate family. My grandfather was a Marine. He was never deployed anywhere though. He was like in between Vietnam and Korea, but he never got deployed. Um, my when you go back a generation though, um, there's quite a bit. Because pretty much all the men went to World War II. Um, one of them was, I think my great great uncle was in a submarine, in the Pacific that was sunk. Um, my great grandfather was in the army and was killed in Paris. Um, but yeah, no, there's quite a bit, and still some of us are in the military, but not like immediate family. I was medically ineligible, so I didn't get to go anywhere. So Other than that, though, that's all I know really.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Um, do you, your family, or anyone, do you know anyone with like experience dealing with the government assistance in terms of like loans, tuition, any sort of food assistance, like any sort of like government interaction?
My family particularly, no. We haven't really been on anything like food stamps or anything like that, and we've never really taken any loans on in that kind of fashion. Um, so that would be a no for me. Um, we've been, I guess you could say, fairly lucky in that respect, that we've been able to adapt and, during the 2008 recession. And I mean, of course, my dad lost his job, but we were able to move on fairly quickly and didn't have to go through any of that.
Hmm. Okay, now I want to talk to now I want to talk to you like about your community.
Hmm.
I've been warned that people are just going to give me very broad answers, but if you could like describe your community, your surrounding area, like the people and their like beliefs, values, or like what they do for fun.
Hmm. Um, so this I'm kind of worried about, obviously, because all the stereotypes that happen around this country and how tense things are politically. Um, but I'm not going to apologize about it. West Virginia is a conservative state. Um, so a lot of people are real quiet. Um, but sports obviously is a big thing. Especially around here because not maybe not so much now, but way back we used to be a big area. So obviously the high school, won state championships a couple times, and so football used to be really big, and it still is kind of. Um, Video games, obviously, that's everywhere. Like I'm talking to you on my computer, which I really don't use for anything else other than gaming. And you know, uh, like dirt bikes, quads, UTVs, all that type of stuff is pretty big around here. In fact, they just passed a thing not too recently. I know maybe you've talked to someone from Hatfield and McCoy, and they ride their UTVs like side by sides on the road down there. They just started letting people do that up here. It's not super common, obviously, but it does happen. Um, so it's a really broad thing. Like our hobbies are, really just whatever you want to do, and our beliefs are, you know, let me do me and you can do you for the most part. Um, and the community has always been, really quiet. They band together when something happens. It's, the small town feel. So, but yeah, no, I think when I was young that I was always talking about how boring it was around here and everything, and then as I got older, matured a little bit, I've come to really appreciate how quiet it is here.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
There's something I forgot to ask, which is I think you have pretty good internet. Um,
I do.
but
Um,
yeah, if you I don't know if you know the history of that or
so my region specifically has pretty good internet. Um, and I've had internet ever since I can remember. Our school, was relatively good when it came to technology, but I am only 23 and I do remember using floppy disks, which a lot of people don't even know what that is. Uh, and But yeah, no, I've never had what I would call bad internet. It's always been fairly on par with other places, and they are actually putting in fiber optic in the area, so that's going to be nice.
cool. Um, Okay, a little bit more of a open question section.
Hmm.
Yeah, like your community, have you experienced any like changes in your community over the time that you've lived there, either like socially or economically or politically, just like over time?
Okay, so this is probably going to be the longest answer, if you will, because as I'm sure you've learned over your time collecting information about West Virginia, is it's a pretty unique place. And I know every part of the United States is unique in some way, but West Virginia is a little different in the way that it was formed, and the way that it developed, and the way that it's regressed. Um, West Virginia, as you know, is the only state to break off from the United States and then break off from the Confederacy to rejoin the Union during the Civil War. And that's because we developed a lot different from the rest of Virginia. Um, we have a river that goes all the way from Illinois to Pittsburgh and links up with it's the Monongahela and something else. So we really have a direct artery to Pittsburgh, which used to be a absolute industrial powerhouse. They don't call it Steel City for nothing, but maybe not anymore. But back then it was. So when I grew up, steel mills were everywhere. Unions, we have a union for just about any profession you want. Um, and so it's not like it's kind of complicated because obviously we're right in the middle of the Rust Belt, especially the Northern Panhandle. So obviously all of those industries started to die off, and West Virginia has, struggled to adjust to that. But I drive through or drive past like three abandoned factories on my way to work, and I really don't drive that far. Um, and there's different times in my life that I can remember all of those factories working. Um, so it's kind of, a lot of West Virginians are mad, um, because when the 2008 recession hit, everything accelerated exponentially. Um, all the steel mills started to die. People started to struggle, and obviously, what did you see when the automotive industry, like the manufacturing side of it, started to struggle? The government handed out bailouts to all the major auto manufacturers. And I think some West Virginians were hoping for that. And you can't just blame the government. I think a lot of people look at it that way and they just want to find someone to blame, who's the easy one to blame. But West Virginia's population's been in decline since like the 60s, I think. So it's been a long time coming, unfortunately. Um, and what that population decline did is leave the steel companies with a smaller work pool that also valued themselves more and more and more as the market tightened with, overseas manufacturing growing too. Um, and on top of that, the mills seem to refuse to modernize. Um, a lot of the factories that I drive by were 100 years old in 2012 when Wheeling Corrugating, which is a steel company from where I'm from, went out of business. So the systems that they use to make steel um, were called blast furnaces, and they run off what's called coke, which is made off of coal. Wheeling Corrugating was a vertically and horizontally integrated mill, so they owned all the industries to make steel. So they owned the coal mines, the coke plants, the blast furnaces, and the blast furnaces were way out of date, and they only had one arc furnace, which is an electric furnace that makes steel. So it's both the unions overvaluing themselves, the companies refusing to modernize, and the government refusing to help. So it's just a perfect storm of what caused the Rust Belt. And as I said, West Virginians are a fairly proud people. Um, and I think a lot of them are mad that they're in the position that they are right now. So it's, you know, caused the situation that we're in today. Um, but that's not much we could have done, I don't think. I think that was inevitable with the global market changing, and I don't think we kept up with cutting edge tech as the way that we should have. So it caused us to lose our jobs. A lot of people got desperate, and then the drugs came, and people felt kind of helpless. Um, and I think it is turning around slowly. Uh, so, and I don't think West Virginians really have a stomach for a lot of politics. A lot of people think West Virginians are just uneducated, drug addicted hillbillies, racist hillbillies. And I mean, I've been told I don't sound like what people think a West Virginian should sound like when I travel. Uh, Obviously because the stereotypes are pretty strong still, and I think you're gonna see people proving that stereotype wrong here in the future. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna be much longer till we make a turnaround from our current position. So, but
Okay.
that's a bit of a depressing point, I guess you could say, because a lot of the older people sit here and see what they built and their grandfather built decay, and it makes them really angry. Some of them, anyways.
Hmm. Okay. Maybe you touched it on it already. But is there like a topic that you or something that you're seeing that isn't covered in the media that you think should
Um,
be talked about?
uh, I mean, I'm sure if I went and looked, yeah, but I really don't trust mainstream media in any form, like, left or right and center, because even the center media is pushing their own agenda. Um, and as I said, I'm someone who is really tired of hearing the politics game, and everything is politicized. Like, I guess that's why I was really nervous about taking an interview, is because I didn't really know exactly what it was used for, or what my sound bites would be used for. So I was really nervous that it was gonna be like, you know, hey, look how stupid these people are, or something like that. Um, and again, I don't think West Virginians pay attention to media, and you said we're really underrepresented in media, and I think it's because a lot of people don't want to be represented in media here. Um, as I said, we don't really have a stomach for politics, I don't think. And I think West Virginia is one of the most politically disengaged states you can find. Um, we just really worry about our own problems, because we're just too busy, I guess you could say, to worry about other things. But so really with the media thing, I wish there was a little more um coverage of us, because the state has struggled. Um, so I feel like we've been left behind a lot, and we're misrepresented to the national population, I feel.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Um, and please rest assured, I am n too lazy to edit the heck out of your sound bites. I don't know if I'll edit it at all.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's the best way to go because I mean you could get 1,000 interviews and not get the real opinion of West Virginia. There still is 1.7 million of us, which in the grand scheme of the United States isn't a lot, but you can't categorize a group of people that big, I feel. And I hate when people just generalize and make, well, this entire state's this because they're statistics, because West Virginia, once you look at statistics and you can kind of start to believe the stereotypes about us. Um, but like the statistics make a state like West Virginia look really bad because there's just not a lot of us here, I guess you could say, in comparison to some other states. Like speaking to the drug issues and overdose deaths. Um, yes, for the population that West Virginia has, it's pretty bad. But California loses like double. It's just that they have like 6 or 7 times the people there, so it just kind of gets drowned out by how many people are there. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's numbers make West Virginia look really bad. When it's really not. Yes, those stereotypes do exist, but in very, very backwater places in West Virginia. It's not like people think.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, okay. Um, I mean, interview question. Where do you think you'll be in 5 years?
Um, so speaking to the mechanics issue with, well, not issue, but my job. Um, uh, I could pretty much do whatever I want. I think I set myself up pretty well coming out of high school to be as hireable as possible. Um, to the point where people already knew me coming out of high school. I've never had to hand out my resume. I have a full resume made and it's up to date, but I've never had to actually hand it out. I usually just talk to them and they say, "Well, when can you start?" But I came out of high school with what's called student ASE certifications, which is automotive service excellence, and they expire after, I think it's 5 years, or well, for the student certifications, they expire as soon as you turn 18, I think. But once you take the normal ASE tests, um, I think it's every 5 years you have to renew it. And I let mine expire because Ford obviously doesn't care because they have their own set of certifications. And the place I work now, which is a smaller shop, doesn't require them. And it costs, I can't remember how much it costs to renew them, but it just, I don't need them right now. If I needed them, I could go get them. Um, but 5 to 10 years, it's hard to tell, but I see myself owning my own shop. Um, but obviously I have OSHA 10 certifications, so I can work on construction sites all over the place. I have welding experience and everything else from high school that I could pull on to get another job, but I do see myself staying in the mechanic business and having a shop eventually.
Cool. If I wanted to move where you live, what would I need to know?
Um, hmm. Really, I think you'd need to look at the opportunities that are available here before you moved here. As I said, there's not really very many manufacturing jobs anymore, um, because most of the mills are gone. Well, they're not gone. You just kind of sit there and look at them and they're skeletons. Um, but I know a lot of remote workers are moving here, um, because, well, the internet infrastructure in my area is good. Um, most of the West Virginians are just quiet people who want to stay to themselves. So, but there are people who you want to get to know you and everything. Um, and I really don't think we care about anyone's opinions or their beliefs. Like, again, we go back to the you do you and I'll do me type of mentality. So I really don't think there's any major pitfalls to moving to West Virginia. I'm just kind of like make sure you have a job that you can support yourself. West Virginia's cost of living is really low compared to other places in the United States, mainly because it's a blue collar state and, everyone works for what they have. So, yeah, I don't think there's really much you need to know. Just make sure you have a way to support yourself when you get here. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think there's any major pitfalls.
Okay. I always love asking that question because I know my own answer is that living near so close to DC, there are like 8-lane highways and they're
Yeah,
terrifying.
the infrastructure here is completely different. I don't think there's an 8-lane highway in the entire state. I'm not I don't quote me on that because I'm not sure, but I don't think there is. Well, and I guess I can't really make fun of my roads anymore because they just repaved all of them, but it did take like 20 years for them to repave them. So, um infrastructure maybe isn't the greatest here. So maybe you don't bring a really low sports car with, you know, racing tires on it. But yeah, no, roads here right now at this point in time are pretty good. I don't know how they're gonna be in the future because I don't know how well they're gonna maintain them. But um, so yeah, just make sure you have a way to support yourself, and I think most people will be fairly content living here, to be honest. I know I am.
Cool. Yeah, I have some user submitted questions. Like,
Okay.
if I'm gathering that where you live is rural, if you like, how long would it take if you called like 911 for emergency services to reach you?
Uh, with north of Wheeling, like I'm from just north of Wheeling, like one or two cities up, which is a relatively big city, I guess, in West Virginia standards. Because I mean, Charleston, our biggest city, is at like 48,000 people. So I mean, it's a small city for most people, but for us, it's pretty big. But our police department in particular is very, very good. Um, they're very responsive. Um, so I really don't think police responsiveness is an issue where I live. Um, because we do have a lot of police officers for our population, actually. We're quite lucky, in my opinion, to have a really good police station or sheriff department here. So yeah, no, I don't worry about police responsiveness here.
Okay. Um, some other questions. Have you ever been told that you have an accent?
Me, not in particular, because I'm from the north. Now I've talked to people from the south and they've had accents, and I've talked to people from the south and they haven't had accents. I think that's um another thing about kind of how the stereotypes aren't right. Not all of us have that accent, and I've never been told that I had an accent because um like I have a gaming group that's an international group. We have people from all over the place, and I've never been told that I've had an accent. I haven't the stereotypical American accent, I guess you could say.
Um, and going off that, and the like your experience and maybe some stereotypes or not having an accent or the American accent. Do you, have you found that people treat you differently if they find out where you're from?
Um, by and large, no, not really. Um, and I mean, I'm relatively vocal about where I'm from. I mean, if I contacted you on Discord, and I mean, if you, I don't know if you looked at my Discord profile, but my bio is, you know, my account just has the WVU symbol on it. So I mean, obviously, it's pretty obvious where I'm from when I'm online. Um, so not particularly. Obviously, there are those stereotypes, and I've met people and they're surprised that I'm from West Virginia because I don't have an accent and I don't have the West Virginia look because I don't look, well, the stereotype is we're all inbred hillbillies. So um but not to my face they don't treat me differently, no, usually. And it's because I think I present myself fairly well in public. I mean, obviously if you catch me coming outside of work I look disgusting because I'm covered in grease, but um once I clean up I've never been treated a specific way. And
Okay.
well, and I guess there are the memes and stuff about West Virginia, and I just kind of laugh them off usually. So like the so I mean, like I said, I don't travel very much, obviously, because I think I've been out of the country once, and it was to go to Canada, and obviously my family just kind of kept to ourselves. We didn't really talk to any Canadians. We just went and saw things. So I don't think that I have a lot of exposure to people that would treat us differently. But no, I don't think anyone's treated us differently just because of that.
Okay. Um, Actually, going back a little bit, you've talked about like your employment and the opportunities in your area.
Hmm.
Um, what's been your experience saving money, if at all?
Um, I save money. Well, I invest a little bit here and there. Like I buy stocks. I just bought oh, what was this company? AMD was really, really low. The CPU manufacturer was really low, so I bought a couple of their stocks. But yeah, no, I save, but it's usually for a goal so I could buy something or build something because obviously as a mechanic I always have a car that I'm working on. Um like I'm restoring a 1972 Dodge Dart, so quite a bit of my resources go into that. Um but I don't personally have a lot of issues saving. Um but I know obviously a lot of people who maybe don't have the skills that I have or don't have the opportunity that I've been lucky enough to get because as I said in high school I was in the automotive tech class and I was lucky enough that the teacher liked me and I was willing to absorb any, advice, and I know um a lot of the kids in the class just were there to get the class. It wasn't, anything they planned to commit themselves to. So, no, I don't have a lot of issues with that. And I've been fairly lucky as far as opportunities go because I'm willing to sacrifice a lot of my personal time to achieve a goal that's, just anything I want, really. So,
Cool. Okay, last question.
mhm.
If you had a week of vacation, what would you do?
I would go probably to one of the state parks and go hiking or maybe camping. Obviously, it's getting cold right now, so that's not quite possible, but Um, I would probably go hiking, really, in in one of the state parks to, decompress and disconnect from everything. Um, because it gets really tiring to constantly be doing something online. Um, and I think it'd be nice not to constantly be on call to fix someone's car or, take care of something. So that'd be nice.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you'd find it surprising how much people say they would like to travel or road trip or explore more of America, but
Yeah,
that,
yeah, I see that. But I don't know, maybe I'm a little unique because I've never really moved. I've been here since I was born. I've never, like I said, the furthest away, I went to Arizona once when I was very, very young, to go see the Grand Canyon and a couple other things out there. And it's nice to look at, but it's not home, if you know what I mean. And I think I'm actually I'd be surprised if a lot of West Virginians felt super differently about that. Like other places are nice, but it's, you know, West Virginia's home.